Hi, I'm not feeling particularly well, and that's why I wasn't here on Tuesday. But I'm nonetheless back to give you some more of what you want. It's going to be some Tuesday stuff, even though it's Thursday, and by the time you see this, it might even be Sunday or even another day. But let it be known that today I am living a Thursday life as if it is Tuesday. And that has put me in quite the mood, let me tell you. Quite the mood. The only thing is, I'm all a tizzy, and I don't know what I'm going to look at today. So we're going to have a look at a list of albums that I think I might want to do, and we're going to choose one. So this Eliana Glass album, E, I've already had a listen to this. It is pretty good. It is not quite what I'm looking for, and I've already had a listen to it, so probably wouldn't look at it today. Anyway, we like those fresh looks at things. But it's quite nice. It's sort of interesting, stark, jazzy music, with good vocal performances. William Tyler, similarly, I've already listened to this, Time Indefinite. It's good. Not what I was expecting, actually. I've listened to William Tyler's music for the film First Cow, which I think is really good, but that's much more sort of guitar based, whereas this feels more transcendent of that medium. And I've already also listened to this Salami Rose Joe Lewis album, which is again the second album by this artist. It's really good, and it's cool, very low key, soft music, but really, very interesting stuff. So definitely have a listen to that one if you can. I think it's on Brain Feeder, and I don't know too much about individual labels really, but Brain Feeder is an interesting one. It's Flying Lotus's label, and listen to Flying Lotus if you haven't. I've just listened to this Sunflower Bean one today. It's pretty good. It's more conventional, but it still has a little bit more bite than you would expect for a sort of indie rock band. There's a little bit more bite, and there's also multiple main singers, which is always an exciting thing. Now, I haven't listened to this DJ Drum maybe album. I don't know what to expect really, but I know that I'll put it on this playlist for some reason. I do know what to expect from this Deerhoof album. I hear it's one of their better ones, so that's cool. Deerhoof, very sort of slightly underrated, but now quite beloved math rock basically album, but they're quite varied. Now, I'm not particularly interested in this Ghost album, but I've put it on my playlist to get through it. I expect it to be pretty poor, but it's worth knowing what all the hype is about, I suppose. I've got, I think, Sleep Token somewhere else on here as well. Viagra Boys, I'm not massively excited for this one, so I don't think I will cover it. You notice that I'm like 2 months behind on these albums, but that's because there's so much music. There's too much music to get through. But I kind of liked Cave World, however many years that was before it came, since it came out. Perry Mason, Please Tell Me I'm Pretty. Again, don't know anything to expect from this one, but that's quite a fun album cover. Pale White. Yeah, this sounded pretty good, but I don't know. The cover just reminds me of Harbour Sentry by Unix, which was my favourite album from last year. Go and listen to that one. Adrian Young presents something about April the 3rd. Yeah, I think this one sounded pretty unexpected. It's quite short as well for an album, but I will tell you if it's really worth it. Nickel on the Fountain Floor is just an EP, so we won't have a look at that. I really liked the previous Civic album. This one, artwork as well, is and what I've heard from it so far, it's not getting me massively excited for it, but it's there. I've already listened to this Caroline album, and we know because we were on stream for it. Now I could definitely listen to this Swans album and maybe make it through a track. That is tempting. This Catherine Joseph album may well be really good too. I've heard a few tracks and they're quite exciting. Watch House, sort of a pet, like a nice little band for me. I don't need to share them with everyone, but they are very sweet and lovely, and maybe that album will be really good. A.A. Williams I do like, but again it's an EP. Music's for 17 musicians. I think this is James Sue, who seems like a crazy, I think, Belgian artist. Let's just check that. Hopefully it says. Netherlands. Okay, fine. Crazy Dutch artist, and I think these are essentially orchestrated versions of his previous works. That may well be absolutely crazy. I've listened to this Pulp album and it's absolutely fine. We've both listened to this Little Sims album and it's really good. Kiran Leonard is really cool, and wow, not many listens for this. Kiran Leonard almost makes his music deliberately obtuse. It would be worth having a look at that. That's definitely on the list. So we've got Swans basically, or that so far. This Jane Packnir album, we've already had a look at it. Lyra Pramuk is really interesting too, electronic musician. The previous one had just the best artwork. Maybe not, yeah, so Delta. This crazy, what is going on? I think it's just hair, but it looks absolutely amazing. Lovely, really good. Yeah, so I'm excited about Hymnal, but it doesn't have as exciting an artwork. Mary Halverson's always really cool, but I'm not as excited about Ghosts as otherwise. Common Holly, I absolutely loved Common Holly's previous album. It was 6 years ago. I'm not massively thrilled about the tracks I've heard already from this one, but it may well still be good. This is just a Villa Lobos, the complete works for solo guitar, which I will get through at some point. I don't know much about this Unknown Model Orchestra album, but you know, he just churns them out, and they're mostly good. This was what I was kind of thinking of doing, is Tropical Fuckstorm, but I am less enthused about this than the ones I was just talking about. Orchestrated EP. I don't know, yeah. I've put this on really because it's got Wooloo on it, and I like Wooloo. But I don't think it's worth covering right now. Who knew Young Fathers do the whole 28 Years Later soundtrack? I found that absolutely crazy. Excited about what that might sound like. I haven't seen the film yet either. There's a new Guy Scavara album, may well be really good. MJ Lenderman and Wednesday seem to be doing some. I know MJ Lenderman is actually in Wednesday, so it's basically just Wednesday. And this Snooper album, is it Snooper or is it like Snooper? I don't know. But either way, or maybe if they're like, what, Norwegian? Oh no, it's I can't even remember what they're called. They're normally called, tildes. It's two tildes on O's. I have no idea what that might mean, if it means anything at all. But anyway, it's relatively good. I think Incognito I particularly liked. Not as good as their last album, which was just full of crazy stuff. Well, it looks like then it's a Kiran Leonard, because look, you can get your Swans fill elsewhere. You don't need me to tell you what's going on with Swans. But I think you probably do need someone like me to tell you what's going on with Kiran Leonard. A little backstory then. Kiran Leonard. A certain amount of Kiran Leonard's stuff is not on streaming, I believe. He has an interesting website where he sort of puts his music in different categories based on, well, ensemble or what kind of environment it should be. I don't know. I can't quite remember, but I think part of it is the sort of aesthetic of deliberately improvised or long-winded, these kinds of things. So he has a particular section of his discography is that kind of thing, and then another part of his discography is deliberately composed stuff that is very that is much more dense and yeah, he's very, very interesting. This Western Culture album was the first one I heard about. Yeah, interestingly, nothing liked on here. Don't know why. Maybe it's a re-upload. But it's very exciting, very unusual. Lots of sort of high energy things. But one thing that's particularly off-putting about Kiran Leonard's music is that a lot of it is produced in an unconventional manner that leaves things sounding very raw, and so, you know, if you love big reverbs and softened edges of you know, EQ'd instruments, you're not going to be getting that. These Trespass on Foot ones, I think, are more of the improvised long kind of sketch things. I think they might be instrumental as well, whereas Western Culture is sung as lyrics in it. Yeah, River Holds Some Peace, Some Live, I think similar to those. Maybe more varied overall. And you see this kind of very difficult to understand naming convention of each of these tracks. We have slashes and we have letters and sometimes numbers. What does it mean? What does it mean, Kiran? I don't know. But Real Home last year was really good, relatively straightforward. Okay, it had some long songs, and The Kiss was one of the best actually. But in comparison to those long instrumental ones, much more accessible. Yeah, really amazing stuff. So, if we look at this new one, Small Brown Bed / With You Waltz, it looks like probably River Holds Peace, Some Live, or Some Live. And we have a similar sort of set of names for these songs as well. Are any of them actually the same? I don't think so. Let's just have a brief comparison. TWS, maybe that was on BOW. TMS 1, TMS 2. No, so these are different. These are different tracks. They're not re-recordings, presumably. I think I wouldn't be able to tell if they were old tracks, but I sadly, even though I've put a fair amount of effort in, I'm not as familiar with his back catalogue as I could be. And also, this boy looks like a long album. But anyway, we have certainly delayed long enough. 15 minutes into the stream to begin. Must be a record. Let's go for W/DT. Okay. Noisy beginning. Unusual things. Sounds like some slidey guitar kind of thing in the left, with another guitar maybe in the right. They've got reverb to them, but it feels very much like an actual room, doesn't it? It's a little bit boxy sounding. And then after a certain amount of time, quite a surprising instrument comes in, and it's that maybe electronic drums going bum bum tss, bum 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 tss. Very simple. And just at the point there where we stopped, about 10 seconds, 11 seconds in, we were getting a bass came in, and it sounded like things were going to come suddenly together after being quite chaotic to begin with. There's also a delay on the thing in the right headphone. Okay. Yeah, so just before the bass comes in, there's this kind of tremolo note in the middle that comes in. Sounds like lots of guitars, 3 different types of guitar. They've all got their own timbre, but guitar nonetheless is what it is. Yeah, so this middle one is holding a B flat there, and below E flat is what the bass is doing, and that's just held. We've got sort of the other 2 just swirling around. The one in the right sounds quite nice, like it's doing that kind of thing. Not very much and not that often. It sort of reminds me of how Slash does whale calls in Estranged by Guns N' Roses. No doubt they're not actually whale calls, but it just goes on the guitar and just echoes in the space as in the video. Axl Rose has fallen off the is it Axl? Yeah, I think it's Axl who's fallen off the ship, and then it's just before he gets saved by a load of dolphins, and Slash comes roaring out of the ocean, standing on the back of a dolphin, playing a guitar solo, like we used to. You know, this is the state of society now, that people can't come out of the sea on the backs of dolphins playing guitars. It's a travesty. So let's hear that build again. Drums come in. So the drums are keeping us a steady pace. What time signature are the drums giving us, though? It seems a little bit odd to me. Let's just go from when the bass comes in. Okay, or here, wherever. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... I'm getting a bit lost, actually. I'm not sure that it is as regular as I thought. It might just be my evening brain or my ill brain. Let's try it again. Let's go right from the beginning when it comes in. Oh, that's... Here we go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that doesn't quite seem to work, does it? Is it that we've actually got 3? Because those bombs are what I'm sort of working from. So they should come on the bom. Maybe the 3rd beat of the bar. Maybe. Let's see. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 1 and... Ah, yeah. So if this is the beat, they're mostly on the beat now, but some of them weren't at the beginning. Let's try one more time. Yeah, so there's an extra little quaver beat there. Bum da da dum bum da da bum bum da 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 da. Yeah, actually I might be making a mountain out of a molehill. But what I can certainly notice is that they come, if you think of this as just like a 4, they're definitely coming in unusual places and irregular places for that. Let's just see where they come, just thinking about it as a 4. Those dum-dums, the bass drum. Okay, so 3, 2, 4, 3, that was 1, and then 4, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, now I'm getting into the rhythm of it. Bom, da, bom, bom, bam, dum, dum, da, da, dum, bam, dum, bum. Okay, I've got it. That took so long, but it's dum, dum, da, da, dum, da, da, dum. That's one whole repetition. Da, bum, da, bum, bum, bam, bum, bum. Right, 5 beat cycles. 5 beat cycles, unexpected, and also very unobtrusive. 5 normally would be quite in your face, but because the other things are so ambient, it's not really giving us much to fight against. Let's just keep going. Let's hear how this soundscape changes. So that middle instrument, which is doing that kind of thing, maybe with a 4th in it. It's just a little bit of a bend up. It's mainly just doing that tremolo kind of sound. Sort of reminds me of the beginning of This Apparatus Must Be Unearthed by Mars Volta from their first album. Go and have a listen to that if you want. Yeah, slides over here, slides over here, sort of mirroring each other but not doing exactly the same thing at all. Okay. So the bass note comes in from time to time just to reaffirm, bow. We're really not going anywhere harmonically. It's such a static chord with just those, I think. And then we've got a few harmonics coming in, maybe on another instrument here. Where are they? Yeah, it was just over in the left. I couldn't tell you whether it was a new instrument or whether it was the one over there. Yeah, we've got that bit of feedback. It could be feedback or it could be like a horn. Ooh, just giving us that extra note, which is D. So extending our chord. Still a very placid chord. No hard dissonances there. It's like a B flat chord. No, is it? Yes, a B flat chord with an E flat in it. Yeah, very, very comfortable sound. It's interesting how that's juxtaposed with the complexity of rhythm going on all around, and the instruments swirling and making not as much sense as that. Oh, that actually sounded really nicely recorded though, didn't it? Is that what it is? Some kind of E flat add, E flat 6 9, E flat 9 6. Here it comes. Yeah, so we've definitely got the 6 in there. Something like that. Very sweet kind of sounding chord, very comfortable. And then I think we do get the 9 just shortly after. There's also a little bit of a gap in the texture just before it happens. Everything sort of quietens down for a moment, and then it comes in. Yeah. So we get that 6 9, and then we got sort of something low down like that, giving us not just E flat, but also F. So E flat and F both together, maybe giving us a sort of Lydian feel. We've got the whole scale now, due to those ones. It is looking like an E flat Lydian scale. So this very bright, hopeful kind of feel. Well, we've lost the slidey guitars now. The texture is a lot clearer. We've got a little bit of acoustic guitar. And we've got one very clean electric guitar giving us our main chords. And we've still got the bass. Yeah. Or something like that. Yeah, it's very calm. It's fitting more with the 5 though now, isn't it? Yeah, so those ad-libs are all based around the same scale. Not shying away from the sharp 4, which would be maybe the most exciting note in the scale. Some higher extensions there. Up to that, yeah, the 6 up there. Is it the 6? Yes. Yeah, the C up there. Something like that. Yeah, very bright, very open chords. Nothing too murky and low. Really, the bass is occupying that low range. We've got, I guess, the kick drum, but the drums are electronic and occupying quite a wide frequency spectrum by themselves. And then just above the bass, we've got that, wealth of guitar noise, which is quite bright and tinkly, jangly maybe. But nothing is competing with that really. So everything is in its own place. I guess the guitars might be competing with each other a little bit, but more they are consonant with each other, they're working together. Yeah, so we just had the same line in 2 different instruments. In the acoustic guitar and the electric guitar. The electric guitar, I guess, is dominating the acoustic a little bit. We're still getting that ping when the acoustic comes in. Steel brightness of those steel strings, not like these ones, these nylon strings. Dull old mothers, these ones. And they both do that at the same time, so clearly deliberately composed that way, whereas a lot of this feels quite open-ended, like it didn't have to be exactly like this, it was just one particular performance that made it that way. The texture is building a little, isn't it? Even though we've got those clear elements. And we've got that dum 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 coming dum 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 fairly regularly, but it doesn't seem to be exactly regularly. Let's go back a bit and let's see how many beats it is before it happens each time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. So it seems to be doing it in an 8 followed by a 6, or a 6 followed by an 8. Okay, what do those equal? 14. 14 is not a multiple of 5, so likely the 5-beat thing here is in a sort of phase with the guitar parts. And the guitar parts are all locked in pretty much on this thing. Predominantly the main guitar part and the bass are both moving together, dum 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 dum, every single time, and they're occurring in 8-beat patterns and then 6-beat patterns. So if the 5 fits over there, it, you know, repeats within the first 8, then it repeats somewhere in the 6, and then it will repeat the next time in a different place in the 8, and so we'll get this phasing relationship where the drums don't match up with the guitar. However, if they've changed to a different pattern and I haven't noticed, it will fit in with the guitar. But let's just check that, shall we? No, that's still doing a 5. Okay, we had a slightly different thing there. Something like that. We had some extra harmonic development. And a voice that came out of nowhere, slightly scary. Yeah, so we got a set of different chords. Beautiful movement then. We would expect to go back to that E flat. Instead we go to this really bittersweet sounding G chord, G minor, with that extra minor ninth. Maybe it's got some extra notes in it as well. And then that relieves itself. Sorry, probably the wrong word. It is relieved. It relieves us when we get to the next chord. So from that G to the B flat chord, back to the F chord, and then we had a bit of a play around with the A there, but it wasn't like an A minor chord or anything like that. And then ending back where we were with the E. It's pretty beautiful, I think. It's really relaxing, but it's also got a clear unsettledness to it, which is very exciting. It's odd to get the feelings on both levels there. It feels sort of similar to Caroline, don't you think? All the Caroline people, get on Kiran Leonard. And yeah, that little bit of melody there from the bum bum. Something like that. Yeah. Okay. So let's call that our intro, shall we? A multifaceted intro, but predominantly we had that main pedal, which now sort of feels like our 4 chord all of a sudden, because we got that B flat chord there. Going back to this one, it doesn't quite feel like the 1 anymore. It sort of feels like there's more movement to it, more insistence of continuing the song, which is really fun to sort of change up that feel from the Lydian mode that we began with, even though we're still playing that, because we've had this more complicated set of chords. Then going back here, no longer feels the same place that we left it. Lovely. Okay, what's going to go on in this then verse, if it is such?
They are together in a small brown bed. One takes the other by the arm and asks, what does this? The slow hum of moving traffic outside.
Very fast flurries of words, isn't it? Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. And then it just trails, and then ba-da-da-da comes back. Da-da-da-ba-da. Simple enough melodies. So far, relatively low kind of baritone range. Yeah, not too many notes. Lots of pauses between the flurries. So it's two really different feels. Da 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 da, and pause. Very interesting approach.
Feel the body on and asks, what does this? The slow hum of moving traffic outside.
A little bit of an echo of sort of Counting Crows, who have lots of words often, but especially in Mr. Jones, he's just saying so many words all the time. Sing it to simple tunes, just going over and over again, the same different notes, but not that many notes, just lots of words. Similar kind of feeling. Yeah, nothing to be sniffed at. It's an unusual way to do melody. It's very unpop, but it works quite effectively in getting messages along, I think.
And the sun stretching in through a new frame.
Okay, so there's our second part. Yeah, so I sort of did that. Dirty that particular thing because it's not. It's there and then there. So it actually goes from the A to the D, like a D minor, and then to that big E flat chord again. So it goes sort of 7. This isn't really a 7. It's more like a 5 in first inversion, and then to 3, and then to 4. Nice.
Pause to a silly question. The other sits up, looks beside them and laughs.
It's interesting how much the drums feel incidental, very much like their own thing, just moving everything forwards because there's so little movement in the other parts most of the time. Okay. So we've just had 2 repetitions of the same set of things. Our first section, which has a lot of these 2 chords, and then going into our second section. And then back again. Yeah, very good. Very interesting. So you could call that sort of like, that is a verse section. Both of those 2 together, that makes a verse. So we started with a little bit of intro, which wasn't that, and then we got our verse section, and then we got our actual verse section with the voice. So an instrumental verse, if you like, was the first thing.
The bodies are just like seashells. The trees on the street sound just like the sea. One just about spots through the beams.
Yeah, there's even then a third mode to this vocal line. It's got the ba da ba da ba da and the pauses, and then it's got da 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 da. Just small movements with slower syllables, but still syllabic singing. There's no ba, no melismas at all. It's very message driven. So the melody seems to change really specifically when the words change. Big long held note there. Again, just a 1 verse section. Oh, but he's not come back in for this one. Because this is different. so it's much softer sounding. The drums are oppressive and still here. I wish they wouldn't be. But there we didn't go like we might have expected after the pause. We went to the G minor. And then, did it do that? I don't think so. Let's hear it again.
Floating in the rough spots.
So yeah. That's our G minor. It's basically an F sharp chord, but because the guitar isn't committing to it, it's doing something like that. It doesn't quite feel the same. Yeah, so that's held there. It's nice. It's nice, but it feels very much more open than the previous section. Much less going on. There's still a little bit in the background, sort of behind a wall of reverb that sort of makes everything a little bit more tinny and further away. There's some more guitars just doing slightly more high-pitched things. Around this area. Okay, so focusing more now. A more drawn out chord sequence then, isn't it? With more dominance from that one main guitar leading us with those melody sections. Simple, still simple melody, really nothing too out there, and all diatonic too. Was it improvised? Maybe. But that's pretty unimprovised. Everyone going da, 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 da. Not everyone, I don't think the bass did it, but more than one guitar part did. Actually, the bass does seem to do it. Yeah, so the bass does it and some guitars do it together. Okay, and now we've come back to, but as well as having that, it feels a little more intense, a little more high octane. The main guitar has maybe a bit more distortion on it, or is just playing louder, so it's hitting that distortion cap a bit harder. There's movement, there's lots of movement. There's our second section. And we're back again. Back to a verse. Everything calms down again. Still getting what we would normally get in a verse.
Beyond the spotlights, the threads run into the soil to wait.
Here we go. Again, second part of the verse, longer notes. That's a commonality.
Night now, the other is sleeping.
Okay. Is this the fifth verse?
Couples leave restaurants and they roll their cigarettes. One is looking, hears but barely sees, is following something.
Maybe a little more going on in the right earphone here. So it's like wah, guitar, maybe reversed.
One shrieks class at the dawn.
Okay, 6th verse.
The land speaks. The other wakes now. Turns.
There's kind of two different tones that we're getting on the voice as well. We're getting a little bit of a nasal kind of sound, and quite a soft one as well, muted kind of sound. Maybe this is two different characters, or maybe it's just two different moods for different narrations.
The land speaks. The other wakes now.
Some more crazy stuff going on the left now as well.
One is groping the ground, tracing outlines.
Slightly creepy stuff just behind the audio wall. Okay, this feels a bit longer, more drawn out, and very intense, getting louder, isn't it? And his delivery, there's fewer pauses. We're continuing with a na 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 la la na la la, just keeping it going, small breaths. Long note again. Okay. Coming out of that verse, we've got another instrumental section probably. With a nice octaves melody, I think. Yeah. It's kind of interesting notes to choose, because that sharp 4, going to the 2, and back to the 3. So the 3 feels at peace, but all the other notes feel a little bit adjacent to that chord, not really in it. It's interesting, the flashes of absolutely deliberate composition within this space, which feels very improvisatory. Keeping that E flat on really long this time, but everything seems to be fading away a bit. Even that main guitar fading away. The only thing is not is these drums. Oh, and the bass is still here. Just moved chord. Nice falsetto, or maybe not falsetto, but just high melody. First bit of, I don't know, passionate melodic singing there. As everything is fading to a different feeling. So that is still following the same pattern of chords we got in the previous instrumental section. I wonder if it continues that comparison, and will I be able to tell, because I did not take stock of what was going on in that previous section. The answer is no. I hope it does do something different. It looks like it's maybe doing the same thing. Yeah. Lots of dynamic interest on that voice. It's sort of, some notes are blossoming very quickly, and some notes are much softer. This kind of thing. Playing around with, I'll have to be a bit quiet, people are sleeping, but playing around with the volume in a way that you can only really do in independently produced work, because major labels really like that compression. They love that compression. Ooh, going even higher, up to a G. So I don't think it is the same progression, because it's really based around these lower 3 chords. The 6, the 5, the 4, the G minor, F major, and the E flat. there's the B flat. So it could be the same. It's really nice there, the bass just slowly going down the scale. Very powerful. God, I hate those drums. I hate them. How different would this sound without the drums? And again, everything seems to be fading except for the drums. It's infuriating. But the things that aren't the drums are really nice. Got a lovely sort of soundscape of faraway, reverberant noises now. There's that melody again. So clear, deliberate again. Very soft this time. Wow. The passion in the voice there. Very soft high C, and then really, really, oh yeah, painstaking A after it. Beautiful, beautiful subtleties. And the dryness as well. There's maybe no reverb on that voice at all. It's beautiful. Sounds like something from old Peter Gabriel. And everything's building now, isn't it? Oh. Very exciting. Like it's building here. So we're getting that particular thing. So it kind of has the same rhythm as the other section. What was it? So we've still got that barn kind of thing. The guitar feels a little further back at the moment, even though it's playing as hard as it ever has. Yeah, I'm going up to that F at the top there. Something like that. These beautiful extended chords. You can't beat them. Okay, I think that's probably the pinnacle. I think we're going to fade for the rest of this. Hopefully the drums are going to disappear as well. Ah! Oh, bliss. That's lovely, and that's given us the space to think about. How to play that particular something like that. Let's hear it one more time, though. Is that easier down here? Not really. Lovely though. What notes have we got there? E flat, then F, G, no. E flat, C, D, so the 6th and the 7th, the 3rd, so there's the G, G, yeah, the G, and then finishing off with the 9, F. Beautiful. You leave people in their rooms for a while and they come up with fantastic things. And then just that shimmery reverb plays us out. Well, a beautiful way to start the album. Oh! And suddenly with a little bit of piano on the end. Maybe this is the slash, this is the DT that goes on the end here. Just a tiny, slightly atonal. Certainly not in the same key we were in. Kind of like, yeah, E minor kind of tuning. Not tuning, key. But yes, a strange then end to a song which was very much a full, exactly similar thing the whole time. But God. So we kind of had like an A. Let's ignore the beginning, which right at the beginning is something unique, but it gets us into the A section, that main section, which repeated lots of times before we then got a B section in the middle, which was its own instrumental. We then got the A section again, and then we got a B section to finish off with as well. And the B sections had some similarities between them, but really the main thing that was changing throughout this was the texture. Well, more how the texture was used. It didn't feel like there was ever much change to the texture because we had drums going through the whole thing, bass going through the whole thing, guitar going through the whole thing, several guitars, and they didn't tend to change very much. The things on the periphery changed, and they changed how they were playing, and the guitars changed how they were playing too, and these things combined with a dynamic range that is pretty rare, all of these things together made a soundscape that was evolving constantly for 11 minutes while only having two separate sections. Admittedly, both those sections seem to have multiple sections within, but it really, even then, what are we changing? We're changing the chords, we're occasionally changing what melody part is being played, or maybe the dominant instrument, but really even then we're either left with the dominant instrument being vocals or guitar, so it's not a big palette to choose from. Let's carry on then. I was worried we wouldn't get through a whole 11-minute piece, but we totally have. Got bags of time to spare. UL brackets 2. Now, have we had UL brackets 1? No. I'm going to do a brief search for it. U/L brackets 1 or I, Kiran Leonard. Yes, there we are. Okay, so that is on Revolve Some Peace, Some Live. There we go. Okay, so it might not be the same piece, but it might have something in common. They are similar lengths while not being the same. Okay. I'm not so worried about RH because we've got them both right next to each other there. TMS and TMS. So yeah, this one seems to be a continuation of something from a previous album. Very exciting. Unfortunately, I won't be able to tell you what happened on the previous one. I'm half tempted to go and listen to it now, but that would disrupt the flow of the album that we're listening to. So let's carry on with this. Okay. Feels like we more or less got to a repeat moment there. But that's an unusual follow-up. A very different sound. Still the same palette, pretty much. It's guitars, it's drums. Sound more real drums now, don't they? And bass. Maybe some extra things in there as well. But we start with this very upfront ba-da-da, ba-da sounding. yeah, well, just before that happens, we get a bit of uncompressed guitar going something like, just going into that first chord probably. Yeah, it's a lovely sound. And then, yeah, everything comes in, smash, smash. So what have we got in there? That's our bass note. We've got that, and we've got that. That's what I hear. So that would say it's like an A. Well, no, would it? Like a B minor with an A in the bass, I guess. There's this fight between the A and the B, and the D does nothing to help really. But then we resolve somewhat to that. Well, it's an uneasy E minor, maybe with a 7th or and an 11th definitely. So an uneasy minor, but yes, from there to there. It doesn't feel too far off. And then we just walk up this. So we go for sort of like a D major, and then down to an F sharp, G, and then we're back to that A. So it does feel like an A chord then, with an added 9 and 11th, and none of the main notes. It doesn't feel like this kind of thing, where the A is the hanger-on. The A feels like dominant. That's interesting. Okay, so how many beats was that? Do we care? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, and then 4 extra that I wasn't expecting. 28. 28. Including 4 just on that G. Nice. Well, it fit quite evenly actually to begin with, because we had this after 8. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Yeah, that's kind of how they're split, isn't it? The drums sound so much more lively here, don't they? It's really exciting that they're not just doing the same boring, repetitive, admittedly in 5 pattern in this one. They sound a little over. So this is an example really of the production problems. Like they sound a little bit over. Well, maybe over compressed. They're a little thinner than they probably were when you were hearing them being played, and so they feel decapitated in comparison to really professionally recorded drums or mixed drums. But that said, there's some like connective tissue between that and the drums for Steve Albini records, like what is it? It's Surfer Rosa by Pixies. Maybe a little bit of that Rid of Me PJ Harvey album as well. Quite boomy. They don't feel really in your face in the same way as well, you know, professionally produced ones would be, but they do feel I don't know, full of life despite that, and sort of on a more even keel with the other instruments. Drums tend to just absolutely take dominance as soon as they hit. Fortunately they're only around for a short amount of time, but here it feels like they're capping around the same place as everything else. That does lend that does lend maybe more power to the other instruments in a way that is more uncomfortable, because we get these long held things which are not interrupted by the drums in the same kind of way, and that makes this texture really thick and heavy, and it's all happening in that mid kind of range as well. Okay. So we've had 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that was 3 repetitions of the same material with a little bit of freedom, you know. These instruments don't have to play exactly the same every single time, but we did get some recognizable rhythmic figures. I don't know what happens in this section particularly, but then we get that D, and then the F sharp, and then the D, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm back into that A. So an interesting, basically set of 3 different sections there, all with their own kind of character. Yeah, interesting set. I wonder how it'll continue.
Switch themes, the circuit's dead.
So a certain amount of the instrumentation buggers off. We still get the guitar and we still get the drums, but the drums have calmed down quite considerably and the bass is still there. And maybe there's one other instrument holding on, but the main bulk of the sound dissipates. I think there is a violin in there as well, doing specifically that note at the end. I think it's doing some more than that earlier, but we won't go into that, can't be bothered.
Switch themes, the circuit's dead.
And that disappears as we get into this.
His head is a silhouette. Study of speech.
Okay, so again we've got this flurry of words, pause kind of approach for the words here, which is it works. The harmony has suddenly got rather more complicated, so I'm gonna have to have a listen to it again.
Switch themes, the circuit's dead. His head is a silhouette. Study of speech. Slowly unfold.
Yeah, wow, this is quite an evolving harmonic landscape here, but we started with this A, and it quite nicely resolved itself for us this time into a proper A chord, and then we did get that minor as usual with the 11, the added 11 there as usual. Then we got F, which is unexpected, and it comes really quite aggressively out of the texture as well.
Switch themes, the circuit's dead.
So here's our E minor.
His head is a silhouette.
Really nice. And then, yeah, so we have this line there in the guitar. And then it goes to there. So we get this kind of hang-on of what's just happened with that F, just jarring it really aggressively. Yeah, there must be something else about it.
His head is a silhouette.
Weird bit of melody to go with it. Yeah. And then they both come to the F sharp at the same time. Which is one of the weirder things when you have 2 different notes that move the same way to the same note. Obviously they're different distances apart, and especially when we have them as a major 7th apart, so you've been tricked in some way. It felt like you were dealing with the dissonances, and then it's like, huh, no, we're not dissonant. No, what are you talking about? So cross purposes there in some kind of way. So we get G sharp, and we get this kind of line, which sort of suggests a diminished chord, maybe a half diminished chord. That would be the diminished chord, but we don't have this note. And that would be the half diminished chord, which sounds more like it to me, but again, we don't have this note in the middle. As far as I'm aware, anyway. And then it sort of resolves down to a G chord. So we get this weird G sharp diminished chord, which then gives way just in that G going down to the G sharp. Sorry, G sharp going down to the G. Just smooths everything out and makes it nice and consonant again, just like how we did with the F going to F sharp. Just adding uncomfortable moments without like they sort of have a forward trajectory, but it's just an unexpected one, and we haven't heard anything like that in the piece so far, so it's really an unusual feeling. We've got a kind of incessant polyphony at the moment as well, because we've got the very intricate guitar parts, that kind of thing, always going, and then the melody of the voice not always going, but when it comes in, it's just doing something entirely different to the guitar. So we have these two competing things. The drums as well are really interesting, and there's lots going on there that sort of takes its own, prominence. The bass, less so. There's not too much going on in the bass, which probably is a godsend, because this kind of dense music with huge amounts of overlapping lines, it's hard to follow, and it's also hard to appreciate on a first listen, certainly, maybe even 10 listens. There's a D chord though. That's that's our first D chord. We haven't had anything like that before. We would kind of expect from this G to go back to that A, and that's not what we do. We go to a D, a nice kind of plagal cadence, and this feels a bit like home. And we get that line there, giving us a comfortable thing to sort of joining it to the A chord before. Yeah, then some really weird harmony unfolds from the voice while we get a C. Do something like that. So let me get to what B minor, but what's the C chord? Slowly unfold. I didn't quite hear it that time. Slowly unfold. Okay, another kind of diminished chord. And then is it going to a B major chord? Slowly unfolds. Yeah, but it's not quite it. Slowly unfolds. Yeah. No, it's not that though, is it? Okay, we're probably down tuned for both of these songs, but something like that. Is it really a B major chord? Slowly yes. And we've got this, both these notes at the same time. Yeah. Both of those, the sharp 4 and the particular note. So really the harmony is going to weird places. That B has a D sharp in it, which flies in the face of everything that we've had before, and it's on one of these more stable chords. We've had sort of an unstable chord followed by a stable one. Same thing here when we had that diminished chord followed by a G. Then I guess we had the D by itself, but then we get this C diminished followed by B major. But the B major doesn't have much to do with the harmony that came before it, so it's weird. Okay, something else just happened. There's our C diminished, B. Yeah, so okay, on that B, the floor drops from it and we get an A in the bass, and then that just keeps going. There's the A. Yeah. So now, instead of a G diminished chord here, a G7 chord. Yeah, really going to different places here, and not by conventional means either. Keeping the same rhythm between each of these chords, though. It's like a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So keeping that particular 3 and 5 rhythm there. That's kind of more comfortable for us, going between this G sharp and the B here, because we've just had the B and they've got that unusual note in common, that D sharp. So even though it's a tertiary shift, upper, you know, major chord moving upper minor third in a non-diatonic way. Even though that it still has a note in common, so it feels connected in a way that these diminished chords and changes of harmony have not really felt so. Okay. So an unexpected change from the B to the F sharp minor. Yeah, with a weird melody. Is it that with the bass? That one, that second one, kind of just sounds like there's something odd about it. Okay. So while this is quite complicated harmony, it doesn't feel like worlds apart. We've got this F sharp going to A, and that's fine. A little dark with that melody going C sharp D, but that's okay. We can deal with the dark. We wouldn't expect the D because we've had the D sharp in the previous chord. Da, 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 da. And then this chord, which is a G minor chord, B flat in the bass, the first inversion. So that bass has a weird shape to it. Weird, almost an enharmonic change between the A and the B flat. In relation to the F sharp, we would think of that as an A and an A sharp, but because we get this G and D quite heavily on the chord again, it doesn't make it an A sharp, it makes it a B flat. So we have sort of cross purposes again. Things are sounding pretty unusual and slightly scary around here. And yeah, big cymbal roll there, I think. No, so we hit the cymbals and then we get more of a we get a lot of cymbal sound, but we get more of a snare roll as per. But doesn't it make everything sound nice and basic in comparison? No, it still sounds very unusual. It's still the way that the drums sound and the way that the cymbals hang on is such a non-studio thing. It's really lovely to get that unique space. And then, is that the end of that section? We're back to D at the end and playing a bit that C sharp there, the major 7. No. Okay, so we've had that kind of before. It's that G sharp diminished to G again, but before we had it after the A, the E minor, and the F strange chord and the F sharp minor. Then we had that, but here it's just coming after a D. This is a complicated set of chords. Okay, there we go. And that's the end of that particular section. Back into the beginning. Okay. I apologise. I have some children's toys that occasionally just go off by themselves. It's quite frightening. But there is nothing to do. There's nothing I can do other than take out the batteries, and then they won't be children's toys anymore. I must keep them around. I hope you heard that, because if you didn't, that is a weird thing. Maybe it's just in my head. Lone figure stands at a window out there. They close the curtains because they don't want people like me looking in at them. So what did we have? We had this A, and then we went to the E minor, and then to this strange F chord, this F sharp minor, G sharp diminished, G. Then we got to our first D, and we stayed there for a little bit of time. Then we went to, oh, there it is again. I have corroboration that it wasn't just in my brain this time. Okay. So from that D, staying there for a bit of time, then we go to the C diminished, followed by the B major. That's the first real out of step long chord that we've had. We then just go to, so we drop the B to A, as a kind of bom passing note to go to G sharp major, back to B, and both of those are 7th chords, and then we get to this F, A, and a G minor, and that, to me, that's enough. But then we go back to the D. Do we? Actually, yes, we do. We go back to the D for a little bit of time, and then we get that G sharp diminished and the G again, and then we stay on that, building up like we did at the beginning in the 3rd section of the beginning, and we get into that crazy A chord and we start the next section. Whew, that's complicated. This is the sort of impenetrable genius of Kiran Leonard. Because with that intricacy, there's things that are continuous, but they are low level. The main things, the harmony and the melody, are not continuous and don't have pattern to them, which means that it really feels like a lot to take in, especially when you're just listening to it. You just have to go, what is this? I have never heard anything that follows in this particular fashion before. Very exciting stuff. Good. So we've just made it through that incredibly dense section, and now we're back to the first section, and we should be on familiar ground here. Familiar ground. Yeah. I do really like between that. Hang on, let's just hear that again. That's the E minor. There's a D there that I just totally ignored the first several times I've heard it. Sorry about that. But yeah, we get that. We get that seventh to the D, the C sharp, which is a little bit grating with our general area, because we're sort of in D major here. So we get that C sharp, and then when we go to the F sharp minor chord after, we get the C sharp. Sorry, we get the C in this D chord, and the C sharp in this F sharp minor chord. So and they're done, I think, in unison bends. So we get a kind of oh gosh, yeah, just bend it all the way over the fretboard. Obviously, nylon acoustics are not made for bends. But that's basically what you get. Wow, wow, this kind of thing. There's that violin note again. Yeah, sliding up. Such fun drums again. Okay, this time only 2 times before we get back into the verse. Is this going to follow the same pattern? F sharp. There's that. Okay. So that's one thing that is particularly strange then, is that violin is holding on through all these changes. It's holding on that. It's strange, but it's also a root. You know, it's rooting us to that pitch with all these strange notes going on around it. That can be really useful. Let's keep going. There's our D. Wow, a crazy melody there from the violin. And it turns out that melody was in the guitar the first time, but it's so much clearer now that the violin has come in to do it. Here it is again. Yeah, so that end part. It's doing similar things with the same notes. Something like that. Yeah. Wow. And then it keeps on going. Wow. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, wow. So there we go. It's a nuts melody. It's very exciting. It doesn't feel like the harmony there, I would say, is very impenetrable, but I don't think this melody is in the same kind of way. It's a simple enough rhythm, and really a simple enough line. It's mostly going upwards. We just start with a bit of down, and then Well, so what's that? That kind of was with this, wasn't it? That's so weird. So we get a C sharp and a D at the same time. No, sorry, C sharp and a C at the same time. Maybe this would be counted as a D flat, but we have just had a D before it. And then, yeah, seventh, and then that's again the, yeah, so it's again the sharp 5 and the sharp 4 and the 5 and the 1 and the flat 7. Yeah, so it fits with the chord actually pretty well, given what the chord is, but it is still really odd. And we're just about to go to our G sharp, furthest away from the D root that we ever go, but it doesn't actually feel so uncomfortable, does it really? The B is a good preparation. Yeah, and especially with that melody going up. To the C there, which is now a G sharp, really. Unless we want to think about, sorry, a B sharp. Unless we want to think of this as an A flat major chord. And it's only because we've prepared it with a B that we wouldn't, aren't we? Because the B has the D sharp in. We'd want to keep that the same here. But having that as, yeah, going from A to B sharp is a little bit of an odd line as well. Ah, well, this is where theory breaks down. There's loads of other chords, loads of other notes in those chords as well. It feels like a proper 13. Yeah, it's not quite that though, is it? I don't know. I could spend a while trying to work that out, and I want to get through this next piece as well, so let's keep going. Really satisfying going from that G minor to the D. So instead of going to the G sharp diminished and the G and then back to the previous section, we have extended this crazy harmony. Yeah, so we did get the G sharp diminished, but then it goes to somewhat like C sharp major chord in first inversion, and then to E minor. So these have very, very little to do with each other, but it sort of feels comfortable as a change, maybe because we're so familiar with the E minor. And there we do. Now the melody's gone up. A little bit of a mixture of falsetto and a little bit more intense of a tone. That's fun. And yeah, we did then get our build up of the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 on the G. God, what a build up! What a build up and a release, while keeping all the instruments going strong for this next section, and which is like our beginning section. Oh. I thought it was. Let's hear that again. That's the E minor. G. Oh, build up for twice as long. Yeah, so we went, and that snare ring just filled the silence, which we weren't expecting, and then it comes later when we would expect it to interrupt that silence. It doesn't. It takes longer this time. Wow, what a cool idea. Yeah. And then that means that we've got an irregular amount of beats going on there as well. Now, what's that then? Yeah, so 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 7. Lovely. And then we do go to. Do we go to E in the right place? No, it's actually to kind of a D in first inversion. And then we go to E minor, then to a D. Oh. And now we're sort of on B minor. B minor 7. Well, that's unexpected. A new section. Wow.
Too much for him. Reflect of light.
Sounds more consonant here, doesn't it? A little more comfortable.
Like a veil.
Still very little repetition. Just constantly moving. G, F sharp, E minor, back to F sharp, G, E minor, we're building, F sharp, G, A, B minor, F sharp, G, D, A, E minor, still, F sharp, minor, G, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. So that, after all those chords in that particular order, which means nothing to me, and a little bit of that higher melody as well, yeah, he sounds so pained and yeah, full of passion in a sort of unfulfilled way. I don't know, when he gets up onto those higher notes. After all those chords, we get the same build and the same G, that 4 chord that should take us to the strange A. But does it do it? It does not do it this time. Drums hammering out every beat. The A is there.
Gentleman.
The A is there, but what else is there? Kind of not much. I mean, the main 4 instruments are there. The guitar doing this kind of thing. I don't know, something like that. So the A is still there, and it is our root, or it's our bass note. but the space is very, very different to what we're expecting. And the notes that we're hearing are kind of unexpected. We've also got a violin just hammering out that top A over and over again. And we've got some hi-hat from the drums, but not much else drums. Oh, is it hi-hat? No, that's a right cymbal. And then we go to G, D, F.
Fear and change, fading image of no.
So yeah, I would say the bass is the most interesting thing for the first time in this, because it's having such a big effect, and it's a little freer with which notes it's using as well. So we've got the C sharp there, while the violin is really just hammering out those top A's, and the guitar seems to be doing something a little more static than normal.
It's
still very fluent and moving, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything that is very chord based at the moment. Okay, those drum cymbals are really building. They're still up around the A. Christmas! Did he say Christmas? I don't know. All the way up to an E though. Powerful. And then sudden silence. Yeah, he's got a really unique style. pause. Quiet side, side. Did you do that? Let's hear it one more time. Inside, inside. That's a really quite fluent little melisma as well. It's so funny because he doesn't use hardly any at all. He does use hardly any at all. But then that one, side, is better than I can do it. Side, side. So he's clearly practiced that, done it deliberately. Yeah, so funny, so funny. He keeps his light under a bushel vocally, it seems. And we're pausing on this G kind of, yeah. Well, yeah. Extended G tonality, maybe like a G. Doesn't seem to have a third in it. So it's quite open sounding, but it definitely has this F sharp and this A in it as well. So, yeah, a complicated chord. He goes away from the mic, of course, for that line of scream. And then everything comes in for our A section again. But now the violin seems to be taking prominence. The way it's mixed seems to be that everything is really hitting the limiter quite hard, and so he's just boosting one particular thing to make the difference at that particular time. So everything gets a little quieter because the violin is playing the loud bit right now. But like unnaturally, it's a thing that happens in the production as opposed to in the performance. Yeah, it's simple melodies mostly. Just two different notes and jumping up. But the changing between the and the is really beautiful. That's great. So changing that rhythm so it's slightly more exciting for this maybe final time. Fun. And we've got octave melody. Words deafening. That's fun. Oh, and this is actually the not the beginning section really, is it? It's more of that middle section that we had where it all went quiet at the end, just going between the A, ba, 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 and G. And maybe an F there. What a sudden ending. We are the devil. And then everyone just puts down their instruments and everything stops. You hear them put down their instruments and you hear them stop, but you don't hear why. Very interesting, very interesting. There's so much to say, but structurally a really nice ending there where we brought that rhythm from the first section and we put it into a comparatively similar section, especially in comparison to the verse, which is crazy. thing for this, isn't it? And we got some of that, didn't we? No, just that. And then I can't even remember that bit. But so complicated, the verse. But we brought that rhythm from the beginning back to the ending section, which is different, and then we also added that little bit of extra flair on it, which was lovely addition, really well thought through and clever, and not just clever but exciting. This is sort of really emotionally slightly draining, but also very emotionally moving music, and there's so much in it that is really beautiful, and you sort of feel that bittersweet relationship with the production, where it sort of makes it as powerful as it is, even though it also makes it sound like it could be more powerful. But that's just the lie of your comfort zone. That's what that is. Okay, TMS1. Let's see if we can get through it. We've got about 10 minutes. And I can play. There we go. A choir of people all singing. What note? B. Same pitch. No different octaves. About 6 people just singing and they all go, well, not all of them. Some of them come straight in, but a lot of them go and they all sound really well in unison as well. No faulty people here. Maybe they are actually all Kiran. I can't really tell. There's an E chord. Okay, well this is really straightforward, isn't it? Oh, message. Nice 3/4 with a swing rhythm, which you could see as 9, and I like to think of as 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? But most people don't think of it as 9. It's 3/4 with a swing. Well, this feels almost like an actual song. This could have been a cover. Lovely harmonies there, and yeah, that's definitely recorded with some other singers. Straightforward thirds harmonies there. I can go on. Such strong differences between the two parts of his voice. Yeah, so we have this other chord which is like that E chord, but with a C sharp in the bass. So we've got the C, the E and the A, those are our main ones. And then we've got that, which is really a C sharp minor 7, but it's very similar to the E chord. There's a bit more of an extended A. Because it's still got that B in, I guess. Yeah. And that's, yeah, you've got a bit moving up in thirds. Can be the best. Fun. There's a B. Oh yeah, so for that B, you get those nice third harmonies. Back to the B. And then we're ended. Just on the end. Everyone is really happy. That's really lovely. Not a complicated song, really. It feels very folky. And most of it fits in with that. This C sharp minor 7 doesn't really classic children's music stuff, and then for a bit. That feels a little more like a modern twist on the folk stuff, but yeah, the whole thing is so homely and comfortable. Really, there is such a big connection between this guy and the band Caroline. Oh, sorry, I'm not going on. Such a big connection. The production style is very similar to Caroline. The music, the structures, the ensembles, very similar. They're slightly more pared down for Kiran Leonard's because there are fewer players in general. But the main difference, I would say, is that Caroline always feels like a meditative group session where everyone is ready to be calm and ready to vibe with the other people, whereas these songs feel more like exorcisms or catharsis. It's not funny. They're really good. Good exorcisms, getting out those demons and feeling better. That's what it's all about. That's what Christianity is all about. And that's what this music is all about. So if you are tired of Christianity, maybe take up Kiran Leonard instead. If not, that's absolutely fine. I mean, I have reservations, but you do what you want to do. I'm not going to stop you doing that. Have a lovely day and a lovely life, and I will see you maybe in heaven. Bye bye.